Loyola High School, home of the mighty Saxons. With more than 2,000 students on campus, it is a school that contributes to Anaheim's community. When looking for something that needed solving on our campus, we looked into Loyola School Accountability Report Card, also known as SARC Report, for the 2016-17 school year. After observing the SARC report for countless hours, we noticed many things that could use improvement on our campus. However, what stood out the most to us was how outnumbered our counselors were compared to the amount of students that attended Loyola. According to the 2016-17 SARC report, each counselor is responsible for 546 students. That is 546 students, each with their own personal problems that the counselors are challenged to help throughout high school. So we pose the question of, what could be done to better the relationship between Loyola's counselors and students? With this question, we wanted to have background information that we could compare our school to. So we did research about the other schools in and around our district. We asked the following questions to help with our research. What are the other schools in the Anaheim Union High School District? How many counselors do each of these schools have? Along with these questions, we also wanted something we could compare the success rates of the schools so we could use the individual schools' graduation rates.
When first conducting our research, we found that in the Anaheim Union High School District, we have 11 schools. These include Loyola, Anaheim, Cypress, Gilbert, Catella, Kennedy, Oxford, Polaris, Savannah, Western, and Magnolia. Then we found out how many counselors each school has, which came out to an average of 4 to 5 counselors for each school in and around the Anaheim Union High School District. This was shown through each of the schools' own SARC reports. Along with the counselors, we also found the graduation rates for each school. Overall, we found that graduation rates were not too bad for the schools within the district, but there's always room for improvement. Our school had a graduation rate of 91.49% as of last year. This was made possible with the help of the programs available at our own school. These include organizations such as EAOP, which helps students at underserved schools prepare for college and the workforce. There is also a college and career center at our school available to the students to help prepare them for the future, which includes graduation.
With all this newly found information, we decided to take action. We started off with the student body by giving out surveys to students with the most experience in high school, the juniors and seniors. We asked 7 questions based on their experience with counselors. The first question asked was, how many times have you visited your counselor this school year? The results showed that on average, students visited their counselor around 4 times this school year. Question number 2 was, have you ever gone to the counselor's office and found no counselor available? We found that 71% of the students we surveyed have been to the counselor's office and found no counselor available, while the other 22% have not. Question number 3 was, what is the reasons for your visitations to the counseling office? We found that the main reason students were found in the counseling office was because of either receiving a call slip or needing help with a class.
Question number 4, would having more counselors available increase your visitations to the counseling office? We found that 57% of students would actually visit the counselor's office more often if there were more counselors there to aid them. Question number 5, do you visit your counselors on a monthly basis? We found that the majority of students do not visit their counselor on a monthly basis. That was 71% of the students we surveyed. Question number 6, do you feel comfortable talking to your counselor and asking them for help? We found that a slight majority of the students feel like it would depend on the situation they were in to determine on whether asking for help from a counselor. And then finally, how would you feel about having a set day to meet with the counselors about possible issues, like graduation, passing classes, or current situations? We found that every student we asked would find it very helpful or would not mind having this set day to talk to counselors. Overall, this survey of the student body helped us understand how the majority of campus felt and what we could further do to help our student success rates.
The next action we took was directed towards our school counselors. We wanted to hear the counselor's point of view about their experience as a counselor at Loyola High School. We started off by interviewing Ms. Bradford, Ms. Chung, and Mr. Diaz. Ms. Bradford is the counselor in charge of students A through Diaz and the College and Career Center. Ms. Chung is in charge of students R through Z and AVID. Finally, Mr. Diaz is in charge of the special programs at our school. We began all 3 interviews by asking, on average, how many students do you speak to on a daily basis?
On an average day, at least 10. There are some days I only talk to a few students though,
Ms. Chung said that she speaks to about 35 to 40 students on average. On the other hand, Mr. Diaz said that he speaks to about 10 to 15 students on a given day. What do you think of the relationship between counselors and students, communication-wise?
It depends on the student, right? I mean, some students want to come up here. They want to talk to me. They know that I'm readily available. But other students don't know. And sometimes I'll get an email from a teacher and they're like, hey, I had a conversation with a student. It sounds like they could use an ear, for someone to listen, things like that. But I'm sure there are students out there that don't know they can come and just chat with me, right? So I'm sure there are students out there who don't know that, but I think that our whole counseling team, we're trying to make that easier for students, and we're trying to be there for students, and we're trying to make it clear that that's what we're here for. We're here to talk to you. We're here to guide you and help you in any way that we can. I think that some students, maybe they're shy, or maybe they're too prideful. They don't think they need help, but I think every single human being needs help at some point. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So we're working on that as counselors and trying to get that word out and trying to do the best that we can.
Similarly, Mr. Diaz said, most students think they can only talk to counselors if they are in of immediate need or help to fill out an approaching college deadline. The reality is that we love when students come in and talk about how their high school journey is going thus far.
Have you ever received complaints from students about your availability?
Yeah. Like sometimes a student they'll come and find me at lunchtime or whatever, like, oh, I came to your office earlier, but you weren't there. But the thing is, I'm not always in my office, right? So that's why, we do call slips. And when I have a call slip for a student, it's because I know they need to talk to me for whatever reason, and I carve out that time. I make sure that I'm available. It's not like I do a call slip and then, I go to a meeting, right? Sometimes, there are always, circumstances, or situations that happen where, there's a crisis or I'm needed, it's a more urgent thing where I need to be somewhere and there's call slips out. It happens.
Ms. Chung said, yes, I've heard that they've tried to come and see me, but I'm not in my office, and I think I've been in my office all week.
Do you believe that having more help, as in more counselors, would encourage students to come to the counseling office more often?
Yeah, absolutely. We could always use more help, and it's tricky because that comes from the district, right? It doesn't come from the school. I mean, as counselors, we always want more counselors, and I think that students want more counselors too, but it's hard because, we're kind of we get all the information from the district and they make those final decisions, so it's hard to get what we want.
Mr. Diaz said, most definitely, just as we have several teachers for the amount of students at Loera, it would be a great idea to have extra counselors to help serve the great students of Loera High School. We are doing the best we can every day as counselors, but additional counselors would make a grand difference in availability and in a one-on-one time with students and families alike.
After hearing the counselor's remarks about students not being aware of counselors being there to help and guide students throughout high school, we created an infographic. This infographic served the purpose of informing the students about the counselor's availability and what they are here to help with. We posted these posters throughout the school and also talked to students about this problem. The infographic read, "Attention students, counselors are here to help. Whether it's help with classes, colleges, or even personal problems, they can aid in some way. Visit your counselors today. Walk-ins always welcomed." It also made students aware of which counselor is their assigned counselor so they can visit whenever they please. All in all, we took the step of making our student body aware of the availability of the counselors on our campus. We took the steps of surveys, interviews, and the infographics. This is only the beginning of solving the relationships between counselors and students. In the future, the next step would be to work on getting more counselors for the school. It is known that we are in need of more counselors for our school, but it is a district issue, as Ms. Bradford mentioned. And with this issue, there are schools that want just the same as we do. However, having more counselors for our school would truly benefit both students and counselors. If there are more counselors that were able to spend more one-on-one time with students, it would create an even better bond. With this better bond, students would feel more comfortable with our counselors and have a more smoother experience going through high school, whether it's mentally or physically.